Okay, we're here to talk about coordination protocols, and if you don't know what the F I'm talking about, you get to look at Octavian's graphics during the talk, so it's worth paying attention either way. I'm Kevin Owocki. I have a computer science degree from University of Delaware in 2006. Still identify as a software engineer, but I'm really more of a meme lord these days. And I'm the founder of Supermodular, which is a regen venture studio that is working on building regenerative cryptoeconomics, and also a co-founder of Gitcoin. Has anyone in the audience heard of Gitcoin? There we go, freebie audience engagement. But I just tricked you into a demo of a protocol, which is the hand raise protocol used to non-verbally communicate binary information. And I think that that's fun because we're used to thinking about protocols like TCP/IP and blockchains, but protocols are just rule sets for how different agents interact with each other. And internalizing protocols as something that we do every day in order to coordinate, I think it helps sort of like humanize and build up to the complex consensus-based mechanisms and protocols that we have and we use every single day. I got nerd sniped by Venkatesh Rao, did a podcast with him. And basically the premise of the podcast was most of history and the way that we tell history is institution-centric or nation-state-centric or agent-centric. But what if we took a more protocol-centric view of the world? So basically, instead of talking about individual agents and their stories, individual nation-states and their stories, and what if we looked at the protocols that they use in order to coordinate with each other, how they co-evolve, how they fork, and how they co-evolve with us? Another allegory you could use for this line of thinking is like, I don't know if anyone's ever read The Botany of Desire, which is this famous book about how if you actually look at the history of like the crops that humanity uses, like marijuana and apples, from a certain age, like from their point of view, they're using the humans to reproduce themselves, which I thought was like a pretty profound way of thinking about the synergies between like Red Delicious Apple is using us so that it can reproduce. Like we are the agents that are serving the Red Delicious apples and allowing them to proliferate, and not the other way around. So if you look at protocols and the way that they inhabit us and give us evolutionary advantage so that they can replicate, then I think that that was a pretty profound way of looking at the world. And it's kind of, changed the way I think of things. You may know about the meme, it's all coordination, but now I think that it's all coordination via protocols, and it always has been. All right, it's called the handshake protocol. Are you ready? Yes, we did. It's like that we all just knew about those protocols, like they were already in us and using us to coordinate themselves, to replicate themselves. Did I mention that it's all coordination protocols and that it always has been? Well, what I think that gets especially interesting is thinking about the topology of each coordination protocol. So thinking about it like a shape rotator would think about each protocol. So basically, how does this protocol change the incentive landscape of the way people coordinate around the protocol? The topology of the incentive landscape of the handshake protocol co-evolved with humanity. And that's sort of a basic example that's just sort of fun and trivial. And I think it's it's sort of like a toy example. It's the hello world of protocols. But what happens when you scale that up to ecosystems where you're doing quadratic funding with each other, and you can the agents in that system can start to realize that you're working on public goods and you're going to get rewarded for that. Can that change the incentive landscape? Can that warp the incentive topology around that incentive landscape so that people can just quit their job and work on public goods? Would be an example of a topology. So as we build up towards the more advanced protocols in this chat, I want to talk about the topology of how this changes the incentive landscape around the protocol. And the scaffold of this talk is we're going to work from handshake protocol all the way up to public goods funding protocols.